Are you serious? Are you serious, guys? We're very serious, and we're very saddened by the events behind me. It's an actual picture of the Reagan International Airport, Washington, D.C., where we have a small jet has crashed into an Army helicopter, believed to be a Black Hawk helicopter. Don't know how many Army personnel was on the helicopter. Don't know how many people were in the small, what looks like a Lear jet. Not sure. We're trying to find that out right now. But it's a very fluid situation, to say the least. And it's happening as we speak. It happened here within the hour. I got a text that said this had happened. And I want to thank Alan for that. But then when I did the research to try to find out what exactly happened, I could only find a small airplane had crashed into the river. And the information I had originally received within 10 minutes of the crash was that it was a small airplane that had hit a helicopter. But the media was not reporting that. Now, just now, the media has just released here in the last 9 minutes that this was a plane, a jet, a private jet that has crashed into a Army military helicopter, maybe a Black Hawk. It could be that it was a Black Hawk helicopter and this was a small lunar jet. If it is a small jet, it could be a commercial jet, and that would make a whole big difference in how many people may have been on it. It could be anywhere from 30 to 70 people, and so if it's a commercial, so we're trying to find that out right now. And here's what I have so far, and then we'll continue. The Washington, D.C., a Black Hawk helicopter has collided with a regional jet. So the regional jet, it may be an American airline. I'm trying to find out here. It's a Black Hawk helicopter for sure, and it could be an American Express. It could be an American airline. The airplane went down into the Potomac River near the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, prompting a multi-agency search and rescue operation as we speak. And I mean, there must be 100 ambulances and fire trucks all along the Potomac River. The Federal Aviation Administration has preliminarily said that a regional airliner, a CRJ 700 regional jet, collided in midair with a Sikorsky H-60 helicopter while on approach to the Washington National Airport. The plane departed from Wichita, Kansas, and was coming into Washington to land when it slammed in midair into the helicopter. Now, I have watched videotape of it, and I seen the helicopter had taken off from the airport and was hovering, had started to move, and then went back and hovered. And the whole time there's this jet coming, and you could tell they were on the same altitude. But, there was plenty of time for this jet to make a change in altitude. It's as if the jet never seen the helicopter, went straight into the helicopter. If the pilots seen the helicopter, I'm sure they would have lifted up the nose and would have went up above it to get away. But they must have never seen it till it was too late. There was an explosion in midair. I've seen the video. It's very significant. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance has just released a statement saying that he is monitoring the situation. He says, please say a prayer for everyone involved in this mid-air collision near Reagan Airport this evening. Also, Senator Ted Cruz, just 5 minutes ago, he's the chairman of the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee. He just said there are fatalities in this collision. While we don't know yet how many people were on board the plane or how many were on board the Army helicopter, we do know there are fatalities, Cruz said. So please join Heidi and myself praying for all the involved in the search and rescue is underway. Now, the jet airliner was a CRJ 700 regional jet airliner, and I think it's with American Express Airlines. And again, that's unconfirmed, that it is probably a American Express airliner that had left Wichita, Kansas, headed for Washington D.C. was in the approach to land at Reagan Washington National Airport when it's collided with a military U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter, according to 2 U.S. officials. So it was a Black Hawk helicopter. So we just got that information. The White House has just released a statement that the military helicopter did collide with a regional jet near the Reagan Airport, and crashed into the river, the Potomac River. The White House press secretary Carolyn Leavitt has confirmed that a military helicopter collided with a regional jet at the Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. It appears that the military helicopter collided with this regional jet at the airport right in Washington, according to the press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, as she just made an appearance on Fox News just a couple minutes ago and confirmed this. With all I can confirm at this point is I can say that the thoughts and prayers are with the entire Trump administration, are all with those involved in this crash. So it looks as if this may be we do know it definitely is a Army Black Hawk helicopter and a small regional airplane that looks like, the plane seats 70 passengers. I've been on those before. And they're saying that this plane will hold 70 passengers, according to Kansas Senator Roger Marshall. He says that there was approximately 60 passengers on the plane at the time of the crash. Now, it was a Black Hawk helicopter that the plane crashed into, mid-air collision, and we don't know how many military personnel or who was on the Black Hawk helicopter this evening in Washington, D.C. It could be, I don't know. We could have ranking officers on that. We just don't know what was taking place. It's a very, very fluid situation, but we're hearing now from senators that says that there was probably about 60 people on board. The plane holds 70. The senator says information he's getting, it was approximately 60 passengers. We still don't know how many military personnel or were there civilian personnel on this Black Hawk helicopter, a military helicopter, an Army Black Hawk helicopter. But I have watched the video. I have seen the video now 4 times. You see the aircraft is coming in. Behind me, what you're seeing behind me here is the line of ambulances along the Potomac River, just on the edge there of the Reagan airport, okay, near the Reagan Airport in Washington, D.C. So that's the scene behind me, is the actual picture of the scene that I saw when I watched the videotape. I see the helicopter coming up, and then it kind of goes like this, and it just hovers. The whole time I see way in the distance, I see a plane coming. Of course, and the plane is coming, and you see the helicopter is sitting there, and the plane just keeps coming and coming. They're at the same, you can tell they're at the very, very, very similar altitude. And the plane is coming, and the plane just goes straight into the helicopter. The helicopter's hovering. It started to go this way, and it backed up, and it's hovering, and the plane just keeps coming. The plane was on an approach. It was coming in to land, but it slams midair collision with the helicopter, and it is an Army helicopter. No senior officers were on the helicopter, according to Terry Goggin there in our chat room. Thank you, Terry. And that's so that's some information we're getting right now. We have one person saying that there were 60 passengers and 4 crew members on board. That sounds very, very realistic. The plane that was involved holds 70 passengers. We've already got the Kansas senator from Kansas who is saying that it was approximately 60 passengers. So was on the plane at the time of this midair collision. We don't know how many personnel, military personnel, were actually on the Black Hawk helicopter. We don't know that yet. Now, if you give me a moment here, I'm going to see if I can pull up another report on this. It's a very fluid situation. Our prayers are going out right now to everybody, every family member. There is definitely casualties. Senator Ted Cruz has confirmed that. We don't know how many people are dead. We don't know if there's any survivors. I did hear one report that there could be 1 or 2 survivors. They're not sure. Hopefully there's way more than that. It's just too early to even speculate. These are unconfirmed reports. But this, I can confirm that an airplane, a small jet, a jetliner, crashed into a Black Hawk helicopter. We can confirm that. We don't know how many people were on the Black Hawk helicopter, but we, and give me a moment here, I might have an update here for you. A passenger jet was carrying 64 people, 60 passengers, and 4 crew members, just collided midair with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter near the Reagan National Airport there in Washington, D.C., as the plane was approaching the runway. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, we can't confirm the casualties at this time, but there's a massive explosion in midair. I can tell you that. I've seen it, the video now 4 times. The plane was an American Airlines flight 5342. I repeat, it was American Airlines flight 5342, 60 passengers and 4 crew members on board. They had departed Wichita, Kansas, and were on their way to land at Reagan's National Airport. There were 3 soldiers. It is now confirmed 3 soldiers were on board the Black Hawk helicopter, according to the U.S. defense officials. They've just released this. The Reagan National Airport is completely closed down. All takeoffs and landings have been halted at this moment. But it is a horrible situation here. We have 64 people on the American Airlines jet flight 5342, and we have 3 military personnel on the Black Hawk helicopter as it crashes. Defense. We're hearing now from Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary. This was 3 minutes ago. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the Department of Defense is monitoring the developments after the U.S. Army helicopter collided with a passenger plane as the plane was approaching the Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. The DOD actively is monitoring, poised to assist if needed, and Hegseth says prayers for all involved is requested. Also, the Kansas governor, Laura Kelly, is responding now. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly said 6 months ago, I'm aware that a plane inbound from Wichita, Kansas, was involved in the crash at Reagan National Airport. I'm actively in contact with authorities. My thoughts go out to those involved. I'll share more information as soon as it comes available. That's the governor of Kansas. An eyewitness said, Ari Schulman, an eyewitness said he was driving home when he witnessed the plane crash in midair near Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. He said everything seemed normal as he drove along the George Washington Parkway, the highway that runs by the airport. He said, and as I watched the planes coming in and to land, one in particular caught my eye. Initially, I saw the plane, and it looked fine, normal. It was right about to head over land, maybe 120 feet above the water. It looked like a fairly small end, but normal-sized passenger jet. 3 seconds later, the plane was banked all the way to the right, past the 90 degrees. So this plane, I could see the underside of it. It was lit up a very bright yellow. There was a stream of sparks underneath it, he said, adding that it was high off the ground. Schulman then said everything went dark. I didn't see any helicopter. It was very, very dark night out there. So anything that's not illuminated, you can't really see it. So I didn't see the other aircraft, but I saw the plane banking at an angle that a plane shouldn't bank at. And then I saw the sparks flying. And he said, I didn't see the plane hit the ground. I didn't see the flames or the explosion or the smoke. I didn't see the emergency lights. It was just so quickly it happened. So it sounds like maybe the aircraft was in distress, was coming in and losing control, maybe, and started to bank, and started to turn to miss, and then slammed into a military helicopter. Now, that's so unconfirmed. That is an eyewitness seeing a plane, what looked like in distress. But that is way, way, way too early to even speculate. Anything could have happened here. The helicopter could have been in the wrong place. The plane could have been having problems. There's just no way to know. We don't know. I'm sure they'll get the black box. I'm sure we'll get some more information in the days to come. Right now, they're warming the buses deployed to aid rescue efforts and diverted passengers. They're getting people out of the way at the airport. Tragic news tonight in Washington, D.C., as a American airline jet with 60 passengers and 4 crew members midair collision with an Army Black Hawk helicopter. The American Airlines had 60 passengers and 4 crew members. It had left Wichita, Kansas for Washington, D.C. It was coming in to land when it midair collisioned with a U.S. military Black Hawk helicopter. It was American Airline Flight 5342. Again, it was American Airline Flight 5342 with 60 passengers and 4 crew members. And that's been confirmed now by the FFA. It was also confirmed basically by the senator of Kansas. And J.D. Vance is monitoring the situation right now. He has already tweeted that he is involved in the communication and monitoring it. And so has Pete Hegseth, the new Secretary of Defense. Also, the White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, has confirmed that Donald Trump has been informed about the incident involving the military helicopter and regional American airline jet 5342 collided midair over Washington, D.C., near Washington, D.C.'s airport. And apparently the plane and maybe the helicopter, maybe both, crashed midair and then fell into the Potomac River. We don't know how many casualties, but I'm just getting a confirmation there is definitely casualties. And if you've seen the videotape as I did, it was a massive explosion in the air. So there were 3 Army soldiers on board the Black Hawk helicopter. And so our prayers are going to the family members of these 3 soldiers that were on the Black Hawk helicopter, Army helicopter, and also for the 64 souls that were on the American Airline Flight 5342, bound from Wichita, Kansas to Washington, D.C. tonight. We need a lot of prayers for the situation. I did get one report that they were attempting to pull people from the water, but it is way too early to confirm that. I can't confirm that. I can just say the video, and even though the video is from a distance, you can see the helicopter and then you can see the plane, and then when they crash, Heidi always does the investigation. She is good at that. She always wants to know who was on the plane. The first thing, because planes just don't crash into U.S. military Black Hawk helicopters. It just don't happen. Who was on the plane, and also the 3 soldiers were on the helicopter. But you start to wonder just what happened here. What could have caused it? And, anytime an airplane is coming into Washington, D.C., you never know who might actually be on that plane. It could be members of Congress. It could be members of the military. It could be just normal, everyday citizens. You just don't know. But you know that this is a terrible situation. And the explosion was quite large in midair. And it's really terrible. I mean, the president just took, we've had drones in the sky. People have been screaming about these drones over New Jersey. Finally, the government has confirmed that it was military test drones. It was a military operation. It was a secret operation. They didn't want to confirm that. The Biden administration never would confirm it. Now, the Trump administration has confirmed that those drones in New Jersey was actually ours. They weren't China's. They weren't Russia's. They weren't aliens. They were the U.S. military. It was actually the U.S. DOD, Department of Defense, and this was a special operation. And I even said that one time during this whole thing, as I said, is this another Jade Helm, this time in the sky? We had Jade Helm on the ground back in 2014 and 2015, and I just wondered, was this a military operation? That's why they won't tell us, but everybody can see it. So you got that. We've had to deal with that, and now we're dealing with this actual situation. It just don't happen. A military Black Hawk helicopter crashing into a commercial American airline jet. 3 soldiers on board the helicopter, 64 souls on the plane, 60 passengers and 4 crew members. Mid-air collision, explosion in the air, and the plane and helicopter apparently falling into the Potomac River just outside of Washington National Airport. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. There's just all I can say is just pray. Please pray for the souls of these people. Pray for the families. Pray that there are people who survive this, but pray for those families of the victims. American Airline Flight 5342. Was it an engine failure? Could have been. We also someone's just now reporting to us, and I'll just triple check that. Yeah, there's been a 4.6 earthquake in Falls City, Texas. Just happened. Actually, the U.S. Geological Survey has just downsized it to 4.5, and it was extremely shallow, only 3.7 kilometers deep. So a pretty strong earthquake. 4.5 in Falls City, Texas, and it was only 3.7 kilometers deep. That's very shallow. It's about 1.5 miles deep. Extremely shallow for a 4.5 quake. They felt that one. They definitely felt that one in Falls City, Texas. That just happened. But the plane crash just happened as well. So pray for everyone involved in this. We'll get more information, I'm sure, later in the night or in tomorrow. God bless. Was it a Boeing aircraft? I don't know. It's a great question, Ryan. I really don't know. It is an American Airlines flight 5342, 60 passengers and 4 crew members, smashing midair collision with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter with 3 soldiers on board. That is the information we've gotten. Looks like that's pretty. You wonder, did the helicopter get in the way where it wasn't supposed to be in the path of a plane that was landing? Was it that way? Or did the plane have problems and then just happened to be crashing, losing control and then crashing into the helicopter? Or was it just absolute air traffic controller mistake, putting these 2 crafts on the same altitude? There's so many things we don't know, but we do know it's a tragedy. I'll be back, guys, with more current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. We're living in the end times. Pray for the people.